Welcome to another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Your host, Eddie, and my man, G. Witt.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, man. Week 12. Another set of challenges for the Titans coming in, man. And, well, let me start this way. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you didn't eat too much turkey.
Because I know I did.
Right. So hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving holiday and had a lot to be thankful for. But, coming in, girl, like I said, you like to be talking about meaningful games in November, and this was one to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. I mean, it really gets better than this when you're playing for the division lead in late November, division rival game, which, over the past few years has not been much of a rivalry, but still lately has been a pretty good game overall. Just played them, 16 days ago.
Right.
Did not perform well at all. So you're looking for a little redemption in this game as well. And let's just say, I think we got what we needed.
Yeah. And a monster matchup coming in that could go a long way in deciding the division. Sorry about that. Especially with the Colts holding a tiebreak at this point in the matchups. The Titans couldn't afford to drop this game today. And,
no.
And what you saw the last 2 weeks from the Colts, you knew that they had the potential to come back in the second half. They were down in the last two games and came back against the Pack last week to win in overtime. And then they only gave up 3 points then, and they shut us out the second half, as you mentioned, 17 days ago. And then, of course, the Titans were coming off a gritty win over the Ravens in overtime, where they had to really, play 4 quarters of football. And we saw some things we talked about last week, girl, from the defense that we thought, if they could continue to build on that success, you would see it this week. And we did. We saw a lot of it.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, at the beginning of the game, I was very nervous about that. I thought we were getting ready to see another repeat of that Thursday night game when they first came out. But I have to stand corrected on that stance because what you saw was pressure from the front four. You saw better coverage with the secondary and with the linebackers. And I thought that really made the difference on that defense. I mean, we held them to 5 of 13
right
on third down.
Big, huge.
Which is huge,
right?
Considering that most of their conversions on third down happened on those first 2 drives. That means after that, we were pretty much giving them 3 and outs and 4 and outs. They wasn't just driving the ball down the field on us. Time of possession, we had that covered and everything. I mean, it was just an overall good complimentary football. Brett Kern's back, as noted by how the punts landed.
Right, exactly.
I mean, directional punts and everything. But I think out of all the punts he had, I think all of them landed inside the 20. A couple of them landed inside the 10. So, I mean, when your all-pro punter comes back, and absolutely the best player on the team as far as positions is concerned, you see what happens. And the defense, by pinning them deep, the defense had an opportunity to get off the field quickly.
Yeah, and one of the early questions we got from Gorilla 10, thank you for the question, by the way. He said, what do we see with the adjustments on the side of the defense, from the last time they played? And so what you saw is a defense that was more aggressive. They were running around. It seemed like they had better communication than they grow, which we hadn't said that a lot this season. But I just go back to last week and how it continues over from last week and the preparation they did during the mini bye week from the last time they played the Colts. And you've seen it today. They got Phillip Rivers uncomfortable in the pocket. They only sacked him once, but man, he was under arrest
he had
a lot of
pressure
times.
On him.
That's right.
He had a lot of pressure on him.
And we talked about
that. Harold Landry was straight up balling today, man.
Right. And we talked about that, Phillip Rivers, he can beat you and he can get you beat. You saw that today because he was throwing a lot of ducks, throwing off his back foot. He didn't like that pressure in his face. And that's I think the adjustment was, is the pressure and better communication in the secondary. And I can't say enough about Borders, man. He's playing some good football out there in the secondary.
Well, the thing about it, again, I thought overall what they did, like you said, the biggest change, in all honesty, was the pressure up front. I mean, now granted, Colts were missing some players, but we took advantage of that situation. Hey, we've been missing our left tackle
That's
from
what
the
I'm
beginning of the
saying.
season.
No
So
excuses. No
that's no
excuses.
excuse. Bottom line was what we did was we actually got pressure, kept Phillip Rivers uncomfortable in the pocket. The first couple of drives he was comfortable. You could tell throwing the ball, but after a while, you start seeing Jeffrey Simmons making a big push up the middle. Tart was coming up the middle. You saw Harold Landry coming from the outside, and that's really what it needed.
Right.
A lot of plays, receivers were open, but you saw because Phillip Rivers could not get comfortable, he was throwing the ball late.
Exactly.
He was throwing the ball short. He was overthrowing the ball. You kept him uncomfortable, which helps out your secondary. That pressure is really what helped out the secondary. And again, Borders should have had a pick six. He's going to be kicking himself on film study when he comes back to that one. Yeah. But the other interception, he just ran the route for the receiver, which I thought was a great play. Malcolm Butler played solid as he has all season.
Right.
I thought Kevin Byard did okay. There was not much you could do on that first touchdown. I mean, he was behind the receiver. So, and Phillip Rivers threw it high where the receiver was going to be the only one to get it.
Right.
And I questioned the pass interference penalty. You could say it was, but to me, I was like, that ball was not even going to be caught. So,
yeah,
I don't know, but you're the official of the group, so I'm pretty sure you said it was the right call.
It was the right call. Yeah,
I'm not complaining about it, but overall, the defense just played great. I was keeping up with it on the game, and the first two series that Indianapolis had, I was like, the offense is going to have to beat their defense because right now our defense cannot stop their offense. And right after that, the next few series that they had, it was like 3 and out, defense wins.
Right.
3 and out, defense wins. 3 and out, 4 and out, defense wins. So, the defense won, I think, like 4 or 5 straight series against that Colts offense, which is something that did not happen on the 17 days ago when we played them on that Thursday night game. And another difference was, if you notice, the secondary were not given those 10 to 12 yard cushions.
That's right.
Right. It was 8 yards, 5 yards, and a lot of times they was right up on them on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So that helped out as far as giving your defensive lineman time to get to the quarterback.
Right, and you got to give credit to the coaching staff, and Jabbar mentioned that the D-line coach in particular, having those guys running those games up front. But you got to give them credit because you watched the last game they played the Colts, and we talked about it, playing so far off the receivers. You saw that difference this week. They got more confidence in Borders. They got confidence in Butler. The secondary was at full strength minus Adoree Jackson. Vaccaro was back. He made a difference today too. Made some great plays. Tackling, coming up, filling like the hole.
Yep.
Playing support on the run. And, you like what you saw. Jeffrey Simmons was eating. He was rubbing his belly. Tyir Tart, man, the undrafted free agent, man. What a game. What a find, as an undrafted free agent. He's playing some good football as well. You like what you saw of the defense. More importantly, though, you like how Quisenberry solidified that left side of the offensive line. He had a great game today. Like you said, I don't care how many people they were missing on defense. I know Buckner was out. Next man up, man. We've had people hurt all year long.
All season long.
We've had the best defensive back on our team. Hadn't played a game this year, but hey, we continue to play ball. So, the commentators are really getting on my nerves saying that, man. Well, they're missing this guy. No, next man up. You play ball. This is NFL, professional football.
Yeah, bottom line was. And now, since we switched over to the offense, I got to say this because it's never going to show up in the stat line. It's never going to.
I know exactly what you're going to say. But
here's what happened. First series, we're running the ball. Derrick Henry gets on a good run, goes to the left side. The lineman comes in. He stiffs arm him, knocks him down, goes up, runs for about 8 yards. A couple of plays later, offensive, they run the same thing. Yep. They tackle him, the linebacker and the same defensive tackle comes up and tackle him. And he does something that you really should not do.
He did. He got a little
Derrick Henry.
That's right.
In the helmet.
He did.
And you saw Derrick Henry jump up, say something to him, and you saw in his eyes like, give me the ball. They're getting ready to pay for this. And that's what happened for the rest of the first half. It was special to see. And again, I said this to Taylor earlier today. That's what you call a baller. That's
Right.
what you flat out call a baller. Okay, you get ready to play this. I'm gonna show you what I really can do, and all of you are getting ready to pay for it. And the man, he was there. He was King Henry in that first half, without a doubt.
Well, I mean, what time of year is it, Grow? It's November, and it's Derrick Henry time, and we saw
Yeah,
the same thing last year. He's at he's running the ball with another gear, in my opinion. He's hitting the hole. I mean, he could break it anytime. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, he could break it away anytime. And I thought if he would have cut outside of Corey Davis on that run to the right side of the screen instead of
yeah,
cutting inside, he'd have been gone on that play. But
yeah.
we'll take the 20, 25 yards, whatever it might have been. But you got to give him credit, man. Like I think it was Dion said, 5 out of 6 possessions in the first half was a touchdown.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, you can't get any better than that, right? You can't ask any more out of this offense. And what can you say about the receivers, man? AJ Brown, Corey Davis, again, probably
Dude.
becoming 2 of the best receivers in the league. Young duo, something to build on, man. And I mean, you like what you saw out of them today.
Hey, that catch by Corey Davis on that fourth down play,
Yes.
right before the half,
Right,
man, beautiful catch.
It was.
Beautiful.
It was. That's right.
I mean, yeah, they're going to have to review it, but when you saw the replay, hand was underneath the ball never touched the turf. I mean, it was just a great play. And you saw AJ Brown catching the ball. Again, they caught him on that crossing pattern, and Tannehill hits him right in stride. He slips a couple of tackles, and he's gone to the house, 69 yards.
Right.
So,
right.
Again, you saw on both sides of the ball today and in special teams, great complementary football all the way around. Yeah, and really, that was one of those games that you wanted to see it in. You wanted to see a good game against the Colts, because that's the team you're going to be looking out for.
Right, and a team that has been dominating the AFC South here the last few years, them and the Texans. And like you said, they was going to have to come out early and punch them in the mouth. And it was going back and forth for a while. And then the defense made some adjustments and started playing more aggressive. And then the offense kept churning. Derrick Henry had 140 yards rushing in the first half alone, 3 touchdowns. And but you like what you saw, well-rounded, all 3 phases. Kern, like you said, came back and he was putting them inside the 10-yard line, making it hard for the Colts to drive the length of the field. And, the only thing that I would say that I didn't like is when we came out in the second half, I thought we got a little bit too conservative on offense.
Absolutely.
Knowing that the Colts was a second half team, we saw it the last 2 games, right? One of them against the Titans and one of them against the Packers. They were down by 2 touchdowns against the Packers and came back and won that game. So you knew they were going to come out with some adjustments. And I didn't like the play calling early in the second half by Arthur Smith.
I would say this. I was extremely concerned about that in the second half as well. I don't know if it was really, I guess by design, they were limiting Derrick Henry's carries in the second half, because he didn't get the ball nearly as much in the second half as he did in the first half. They played the other McNichols. They played Foreman in the second half more. But still, I would say this. What you saw is after Indianapolis did score and we had to move the ball, we moved the ball downfield, ended up kicking a field goal, which I thought at that point of the game was very important, because
Right.
I thought that any points you get,
that's right,
was pretty much going to put the game out of reach.
Right.
Because the defense was actually playing good enough to where Indianapolis was not scoring. Like, they weren't having 2-minute drives.
That's right.
Their drives were taking up 5 and 6 minutes. So with that time frame, and you just score one time, that puts the game out of reach. Then on top of that, they scored twice in the second half, but failed to convert on 2-point conversions, which I thought was huge as well.
Exactly
So that was really, when you stop and think about it, that's 2 points, 4 points that they're missing, which again, by the time we go down and we end up having to punt the ball back to them and they have it with time, they were not going to catch up.
Right.
And I thought Arthur Smith played conservative, trying to use clock. I just thought really he should have had Derrick Henry in the game more, but I understand, he had 27 carries today. So you're trying to make sure you don't overwork him, because, I mean, the man was running hard in that first half.
He was.
Dude made a mistake. That's all I got to say.
I thought he was ready to go for another 2 bills myself.
I did too.
Before they tempered them down some. But got a questions and comments coming in. So Gorilla 10 says, how far do we think this team can go playing like they played the last few weeks? Well, a lot of football left to play.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you
You got
got
a tough
Cleveland
one
coming
coming up
up.
against Cleveland.
Yeah, and you still got 2 division games left with Jacksonville and the Texans, and you got the Packers in there too as well, and the Lions. And so a lot of football left. I don't want to crown them anything right now, but if they continue to play defense the way they've played now the last few weeks, it's gonna be a tough team to beat down the stretch. I mean, granted, you got a team that can run like we said last year. We said every year, if you can run the football and play solid defense down the stretch and in the playoffs, you're gonna be a tough out. We
Yeah.
know Kansas City beat them. We thought they pulled the plug on Derrick Henry a little bit too early in the AFC Championship game last year, but before that, they were right there hanging with them. And so, again, if you can run the football and play solid defense and tackle well, it's going to be a tough out for anybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I will say that I liked about what happened today. David Long, man. David Long was a huge
Yes,
addition.
sir. Played great.
Today. I mean, he was all over the field in coverage and coming up making tackles on running backs. I thought he played a good game. I thought Will Compton played a good game.
I was going to say Will Compton. Game. Yeah.
Granted, and there's no doubt he's not fast, but what he makes up, what he has,
intelligence,
efficiency and lack of speed, smarts take over.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Rashaan Evans is finally playing good football. Finally playing good football. Again, I go back to what I said, what we've been saying all season. I don't know what was going on with that defense earlier. All I know is now you're starting to see some fruition. And we saw it against Baltimore, especially in the second half.
We did.
And you saw it for the full game today, really. I mean, even on the 2 drives that Indianapolis had, the only time really I give them a big time play is the catch that T.Y. Hilton made on Borders, that 50-yard pass.
Yeah.
But I would say this, even though they gave up that 50-yard pass, I like the way they fought back to keep him out of the end zone.
Yep.
Stripped the ball out of him, came close to getting a turnover. So that's what you want to see out of your defense. Yeah, they caught it, but we still got a chance to knock the ball loose and get the ball. And what you like is the fact that loose balls they were attacking loose balls every time they saw it.
Right, exactly.
And even Malcolm Butler almost had an interception, with that play that he had. Is just got to give the receiver credit. He just had strong hands and was able to come down with it, and his knee hit. But I thought Malcolm Butler almost stripped it from him.
Right, and you got to give the coaches a credit. I don't know if Vrabel let Shane Bowen do more of the defensive play calling today or the game plan, because you saw a lot more zone blitzes. You saw some different schemes today, things that we've been looking for all season long. And you saw it today. You saw it some last week, but you saw more of it today. Blitzing Vaccaro up the middle, which was great because he was just running a little poor Nyheim Hines over. Got a holding call one time. And so you saw different things coming at Phillip Rivers. And we knew that if you got him off his spot, which they did, make him uncomfortable. And his ball, he was throwing the ball all over the field. I mean, just wobble pad ducks, lame ducks everywhere. But, that's what you got to do if you're going to win this division over that football team.
Absolutely. And the other thing about it, too, what the pressure was doing, it was forcing him to get rid of the ball quicker.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So even on 3rd and longs, he was having to throw the ball short, hoping that the running back or the tight end would make the first down. And give the defense credit. They were closing in and making the tackles and holding them up, And that was the thing about it. Kept them in 4th and long, to keep Frank Reich, because you knew Frank Reich was going to be going for it on 4th down if it was 4th and short. But we kept them in a position to where they could not go for it on 4th down, and we were stopping them on 3rd down. So, I again, like you said, hats off to the defensive coaching staff who obviously prepared and made some differences as far as the coverages and everything were concerned. And again, I just give them their credit because today, that was a good defensive game plan they had today.
It was, and got some more questions coming in, and so somebody asked, and say Carlton Ross says, should Clowney be inserted back into the start lineup when he gets off IR?
I'm not going there with y'all, man. I'm not going there with y'all.
I didn't even want to bring it up because I already know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Some other folks saying no. Look, everybody's saying no. You don't have to answer. I already know the answer from you.
I'm not answering.
Let's see. Dion also says he thinks Arthur Smith was testing the waters early in the second half, trying to see the adjustments that the Colts had made knowing they was gonna make some. That's why we kind of start off slow.
Well, I would say this, and one thing you did see, they did make adjustments for Derrick Henry in the running game.
They did.
Um,
They did.
the backside defensive
Yes.
lineman was crashing down and catching up with Derrick Henry from behind. So, and you expect that. But you saw also that left them open for rollouts and bootlegs.
Yep.
And Tannehill was able to make some pretty good throws from that and or get rid of the ball. And that's the thing you like about what Tannehill did today. There was a couple of times he just had to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
So overall, he played a good game. He had over 200 yards passing. So really, when you talk about a balanced offense, in the first half they had 173 yards rushing and 173 yards passing. That's
Yeah.
fairly balanced.
Excellent. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
so-
but the most important part of the game to me was that first possession in the second half held the Colts to 3 and out, make them punt. Because like I said, you already knew they were second half team. They're gonna come out, they're gonna be firing, they're gonna up tempo, but force the punt. I mean, great job by the defense to get the ball back and and just continue to control the game, control the pace of the game. Like the way the Titans control the pace of the game today. They dictated the style of the game today, and you can tell. And like you mentioned, the defense made an adjustment for Derrick Henry by sitting at the outside linebacker. He's running straight down the line of scrimmage, prevent any cutback lanes. And so, they had to adjust to that as well. But like you said, it opened up the bootleg for Tannehill to get open on the edge and get the ball down the field and get out there and run himself and get down and stuff like that. But
and the other thing you saw too was the fact that he was able to. Derrick Henry was running the ball so well that the play action was working to perfection.
Perfection.
And I mean, he was able to stand back there and wait for somebody to break open, run out of the pocket, and actually Corey Davis and AJ Brown were having a good day catching the ball, making contested catches, and turning them upfield. AJ Brown on one first down was just money how he came down the line, caught the ball, and made sure he turned upfield and stepped out of bounds right at the yard marker. So you just like the way everybody played overall. Again, Corey, both of them made great catches today. That's what we need to see out of those two. I mean, with those two big guys, and let's not forget the wide receivers blocking on running plays.
Oh man, I was gonna mention that. Yes.
I mean, you see that so often. I mean, Cameron Batson is going to get more playing time because of the way he's blocking
game
on
ball
those running plays.
Right.
And, getting away with a holding play.
He did. He held very good.
but he's smaller than the guy. He's blocking him ahead. So
right.
I guess that's what the referee's like. Man, you can't get away from him. There's something wrong with you.
They had sympathy for him.
Yeah, but in all honesty, what you liked about him on that third down play when they ran that sweep and he ran for the first down, you like the way he's playing. You like how he's being aggressive, doing the job. And again, you don't have a good running game if your receivers are not blocking.
Right.
And when you see somebody like Cameron Batson coming out and block, you probably see now why he gets in the game before
Khalif
Raymond.
That's right.
Because he's willing to stick his head in there and block.
You got to give credit to Jonnu today, man. He didn't get a ball, but he blocked. He blocked well. He put team first today. You didn't see him frustrate or anything on the sideline. Also, you got to give up to Quisenberry, which we mentioned that already. Tyler Tart, David Long, a lot of guys that are playing, from reserve role, getting some big minutes today. And that bodes well, getting that experience this time of season for the playoffs.
It even had our boy Blasingame catch a pass.
Blasingame caught a 16-yard catch. That's right, 16-yard pass.
First down. So yeah, I mean, it goes back to what they brought it out in the broadcast. The talent that's around Tannehill right now, as far as being able to throw the ball and being able to run the ball, is tremendous.
That's right.
And I think it goes back to something that I've heard analysts say about the team. That they don't, the passing game and the running game don't function independently.
That's right.
For this team, they function together, and when they're working together, then you see this team be extremely strong and able to move the ball. I mean, when they showed that stat after halftime on the drives that the Titans had, out of 6 drives, only one had a punt. All the other ones were touchdowns.
That's right. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Well, you can't get, that first half was a thing of beauty, and took the crowd right out of it. So That was great. And then, like you said, the biggest thing that happened for the defense was to come out at halftime and hold Indianapolis to a 3-and-out.
That's right. That's
I
exactly
mean,
right.
even though our offense gets the ball and they just ran 4 plays,
Right.
that was huge for our defense because it let them know that, hey, look, they made adjustments and we still made the plays to stop them. 3-and-out, they got a punt to us. So that's what you saw, man. I mean, this is just a good defensive game plan. We knew offensively we could play with them, but again, it's like what we said in that Thursday night game. We said it that the defense and the special teams were hurting the offense because the offense could never get in a rhythm.
Right.
Well, you saw today how that complementary football really worked. The defense is getting stops on third down, giving the offense time to run the ball. Special teams, Brett Kern making his punts, and you just saw how it all worked together. I mean, even Gostkowski making field goals and everything. You saw how all of this worked together, and
Right.
that's what this team is built for. It's always going to be complementary football.
That's exactly right. And, how could I forget Jeff Swain, man? He made some great catches today, some huge blocks as well. Will, thank you for that, man. Forgot about him. Deion says that's typical Titan football, what we've come to expect here the last few years.
Yeah.
Typical Titan football, complementary football, like you said, all 3 phases. Great to have Kern back today. And, I don't know if it makes a difference with him holding for Gostkowski, but, when you got your regular holder there, things might just be a little, he might be feeling more comfortable now. Who knows? I'm not making no excuses for the guy, but, he kicked the ball well today, right?
well, and you got to think about it like this. Having Kearns back helps out a whole lot.
Yep.
I mean, even on the punt, you saw the blocking on the punt was a lot better.
Yep.
A lot better. And, when you got your guy back there who knows what he's doing and directional and everything, you even saw the punt coverage was a lot better.
Man, 10 times.
So again, maybe it was Kearns being out that hurt him on special teams or whatever, but you saw a difference today. The key for them is going to be being able to keep it going. And then, of course, A.J. Brown put the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, right, on the onside kick, right, catches it, and just takes it on in for
to the house, man.
So that's what you like to see, man. I mean, it was a great overall game. Even though A.J. Brown said he was joking on the sideline before the kick and told Corey Davis, man, if I catch the ball, I'm taking it to the house. And he said he was joking, but it actually happened. So, but Taylor asked me today about, on the kick coverage on onside kick, and I had to give the Titans credit, give the special team coach credit in the fact that in years past, onside kicks scared the daylights out of me because we just were not good at it. And I'm going to say this, the whole time Jeff Fisher was here, we were never good at recovering onside kicks. But you see today, you've seen in the games past where the onside kick comes up, we generally do a good job of recovering, knowing what to do. Even on A.J. Brown's catch, Taylor asked me, why didn't the guy just run the tackle? I said, one, the guy who was beside A.J. Brown was already blocking. And 2, the other guy, he was trying to get over there, but he just couldn't get there in time. So it was just a touchdown.
Dang, Deion, man, I was just playing, man. Come on. He talking about sit on down day. We was missing field goals with Kern before he got hurt. I know that, man. Get a man a break for a chance. I know that. I watch the games too. I'm just playing with you, man.
Hey, let's just say this. On the past 2 games, he's done better.
Yeah.
That's all we can say.
He's done better. Let's see. Ed McKinnon says when Adam Humphries comes back, we should be more lethal on offense. I agree. They said also go ahead and sign Borders to a 2-year contract. And he says, given the current play with Borders, where does Fulton fit in? So I just think, you got depth now. Does he go behind Fulton? I don't think so. I think he's earned his spot on this football team. You never know when the door is going to come back, right? And so now you got the depth to play against the teams that run 4 or 5 wide receivers like the Chiefs. You got the Steelers. They got, a lot of receivers they can put out there on the field, even the Colts. Yeah. And so I think you just have that depth. I think, you saw it maybe a couple of plays today that the Titans went dime defense, which, very rarely they do that, but you saw it today, right? And so, this gives you that depth and that option to do that.
And that's what you need, in all honesty, right now, during this time of the field, time of the season, excuse me. What you're hoping is to get everybody back fully healthy. And again, what Borders and King has done is bought you time. more
Exactly
than
right.
anything else. They
That's
bought you
exactly right.
time. They play well. They're good in their position. As far as Fulton coming back, Fulton is going to be back to where he was probably supposed to be
Hmm.
at the beginning of the season, more of a reserve role as opposed to having to be out there starting. So I think that's what you're going to see when he comes back off the injured list. I know he's working his way back. We don't know when Adoree or if Adoree will ever be back,
Right.
but that's the thing that you see. You just see the depth coming to fruition. And you see the guys, the safeties. I mean, Joshua Kalu having to come in, Amani Hooker playing well. Just all. I mean, tight end goes over the ball and three DBs are crashing to make him drop the ball. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, that was great, man. I mean, it's to me it's amazing that you look at the secondary what 3 or 4 weeks ago compared to what it is now. I mean, it's like night and day.
Yeah,
You add King, you add Borders, you get Vaccaro playing, get him back. You got Hooker playing more, and you see what's going on now. And I don't know, if Vrabel is staying out of the coaching of the defense now. You saw him on the sideline instructed some things today, but something has changed other than personnel. To get this defense playing more on a consistent basis, and what you like to see, like we saw from last week, a carryover. You want to see it carry over again from week to week to week, and not only just carry over, but increase in the
yeah.
level of play.
And what you see again, I go back to what we talked about last week and what we talked about earlier tonight. You saw pressure from that front line,
Right,
and
exactly.
that really is the key to the game. Getting those quarterbacks to be uncomfortable in their spot. You got a challenge coming up in Cleveland because Baker Mayfield is a mobile quarterback, so you got to be ready to run after him and almost treat him worse than Lamar Jackson, and the fact that he can run to the outside and make the pass, whereas probably Lamar Jackson can't. So keeping him in the pocket and keeping pressure in his face is going to be huge, and that's what's going to have to happen with this defensive line. And you saw it today; they dialed up some blitzes,
It
even though
did.
the blitz didn't get there. The pressure got to him
That's exactly
because
right.
it was coming from somewhere else and making him move off his spot. It's going to be the same thing they got to do next week. They're going to have to get the pressure on Baker Mayfield, make him move off his spot, just play good uh, coverage in the secondary, which I thought they did today. On that sack that Simmons had, that was a good coverage sack.
That was a great sack, a great cover sack, like you mentioned. So Gorilla 10, thanks again for the comment, man. He said, what do you guys see out of David Long Jr. today? So David Long, to me, you saw a guy that can run sideline to sideline, that can play coverage, and also can tackle. And so, we drafted him a few years ago. Everybody, oh, he's a small guy, but they had him rated ahead of Devin Bush. If you remember, Grover, man, you talked
Yeah,
about it on the show
yeah,
that a lot of the GMs are saying if they had a choice, they would have took him over Devin Bush. Well, you see it now. He's playing meaningful minutes as he did last year, which carries over to this year. No, he was on the reserve COVID list there for a little bit, but the guy can run, he can play ball, and he has a nose for that football. So I think, he's a great feeling for Jayon Brown. You don't really lose too much there. Maybe just a little bit of speed and some
well,
experience, but other than
I,
that, no.
I would say this with him, the difference between him and Jayon Brown. Jayon Brown's a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
probably a little bit better at covering tight ends than David Long Jr. is. David Long Jr. is great as far as covering backs out the backfield. You saw the speedy back for the Colts really couldn't do a whole lot. David Long Jr. was all over him. Even on the short passes, he was coming up making the hit, knocking them down, and which is what you want to see out of your linebackers. Make the tackle, make sure they don't get any more yardage, and that's what you get with David Long. I think he's faster than Jayon Brown. In all honesty, uh, again, the knock on David Long coming out of college was the fact that he tended to overrun plays.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you saw today, he played within the framework, actually made some good plays. And again, there was a couple of times where Phillip Rivers was looking for a bailout throw, and because David Long Jr. was in coverage, he didn't get a chance to. There was a couple of times where they ran a zone blitz. Harold Landry dropped out into coverage
Right.
and came up and stuck the guy that was catching the ball and held him short, and they didn't even get the first down. So you just saw the defense really working the way it's supposed to work today, which is really good.
Right. Yeah, Baker can get rattled if you can get to him and give you a few picks. I agree with you, Jabbar, on that. Will says Pease is giving advice to the defense. He might be calling them up. You
He
never know,
may
man.
be.
It looks a lot different than it did a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you that. Ed McKinney, he brings up good questions. So he says, definitely they've shown improvement over the last two games. However, what is their weakness presently as a team at this point? Where they can be exposed the most by those better teams, and then based on that weakness, how do they scheme or cover it up? And so, what do you think is their biggest weakness right now, Grover? At this point of the season, 11 games in, you saw 2 weeks where the defense has came alive and really played what we thought they could play like, and you see the offense, put up 35 points today. And we saw him put up 30 points last week, but then we saw him struggle against the Colts a few weeks ago to better put up 17. So, in your opinion, what do you think is the weakness right now on this football team?
And I'm taking it for granted we're talking on offense and defense,
Yeah,
correct?
as a team, yeah.
Okay, as a team. Well, again, defensively, if there is a weakness on this team right now, I would say it still is getting pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's going to be the thing that they're going to have to constantly work on to get it done the best way for that defense. Because once they do that again, I think your secondary is pretty good. They're not what you call great, but I think they're good. And when you're getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing them to make early throws, forcing them to make errant throws, it makes your secondary a whole lot better. Offensively, again, with them, there's just consistency. This is a team that has to run the ball consistently, and I think what Arthur Smith has to understand, to me, is that you got to be willing to consistently stick with Derrick Henry running the ball. Uh, Sometimes I think, and I understand the reasoning because they want to try to conserve his energy. Don't want him to get hurt because it's a lot more football to go.
A lot.
A lot more football. You got 5 more games to go, plus if you make it to the playoffs. So you're trying to make sure you have him ready for that stretch run, but also you have to have him out there running because, as we've stated over the past 2 years, the past 2 seasons, the play action works better with him in there as opposed to everybody else. Although, don't get me wrong, Dante Foreman is a good running back.
Yeah.
And Charles Davis brought out a good point today, is the fact that he's like a Derrick Henry light in the way he runs. He's a power runner who can get some good yards, 2 and 3 yards and everything, but he's not the intimidating factor that Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry is an intimidating factor for opposing defenses. And you see right now, Baltimore, Indianapolis, they both were selling out to make sure they stopped him. And that's what opens up the passing game for Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. And if we get Adam Humphries back, then you're talking about a full complement of receivers, because the only tight end that caught a pass today, if I'm not mistaken, was
Swain.
Yeah, Swain. Jonathan Smith didn't catch one. Fursker didn't catch one. But that's the beauty of this offense.
Right. Exactly.
Everybody steps up. And again, we just got to get consistent play from the offensive line, which I'm not sure why he hadn't been playing before Sombrero got hurt. But I'm like you, Quesenberry, man, that's 2 straight games. That's one full game, and the second half of the fourth quarter and overtime, he was solid.
Very solid. And I'm with you, man. Why haven't we seen him before now? He is proven to be a solid backup tackle and aggressive, a good run blocker. And you saw he even pulled one time and got out there on the edge and did some damage out there for Derrick Henry. And so again, you got to give him credit. For me, the offensive line is the weakness because, like you say, you got Quisenberry, you got Kelly, you got those guys got to stay healthy, because behind them, what do you have? That's my biggest concern right now. And as you go deeper into the year, and you got as games continue to be more important, you get to playoffs when they start facing those big time defensive linemen. How can they hold up, or can they hold up? And again, like you said, if the defense doesn't get pressure on the quarterback, how can that secondary hold up, as it is right now, and as the players that we have playing at this current moment? And so until Dory gets back, if Dory comes back, so, it remains to be seen. You can still scheme that up. You can, like they did today, disguise coverage, send different blitzes off the edge up the middle, just give them different looks all the time and confuse the quarterback as much as possible. So, 45-26, great win. So now we got Cleveland coming up, man. They won today, beat the Jags 27-25. I will say this though, one more thing about the Colts: that Derrick Henry is the only running back to go over 100 yards on them this year, and so a lot has to be said about that, man, for the offensive line.
Twice.
Twice. That's exactly right. So, Chubb, he's averaging over 100 yards a game. Kareem Hunt had 62 today, and Chubb had 144, third in the league in rushing. And so you already know what they want to do. They want to run the football. They don't want to put the ball in Baker Mayfield's hands because, again, he's like Phillip Rivers. He can beat you, or he can get you beat if you get him uncomfortable in that pocket.
Yeah, he's a gunslinger.
He's a gunslinger.
And that's the thing about him. And like you said, he will, if under pressure. Well, I would say like this: if you get up on them, he puts pressure on himself to try to win the game, and that's when he really makes a lot of his mistakes. So really, for us, I think we both just said it. We just said it differently. The key for our team on both sides of the ball is the offensive line and the defensive line, and we're gonna have to be ready to stop the run against Cleveland. You got two dynamic running backs. Of course, they already know they got to stop the run with us. Mm-hmm. And we just have to be ready as an offense to really be able to move on that defense. Cleveland's defense is no joke. They are solid all the way around. You don't know if Myles Garrett is going to be playing or not. He's on the COVID-19 reserve list.
Right.
So we won't find out about that till later on this week. But it's going to be interesting to see how we match up against them. Played them last season. And again, it was a tight game all the way up to the fourth quarter. Then we broke it wide open. So again, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to have to see. You got to come ready to play because this is not the same Cleveland Browns team that we played in Game 1 last year. It's a totally different team, offensively and defensively, and they're playing much better ball.
They got a lot right on the line as well as the Titans do because they're trying to hold on to that 2 slot in that in the AFC North right now, knowing that they probably won't overtake the Steelers, but they can stay ahead of the Ravens. So a loss for them would be dramatic too, because it's a tight race in the AFC for those spots for those wild card spots.
Oh, so absolutely, and that's the thing about it because you got to look at it. Let's just be real about it. I don't see Baltimore beating Pittsburgh on Tuesday.
No, I don't either.
So it's just going to be one of them things where Cleveland is going to have to win to make sure they stay ahead of Baltimore. That's going to be the whole key. Nobody in that division is going to catch the Steelers. Nobody. So
right. I agree with you. I agree. So got some more comments, man. They're coming hot. So let me try to get them in. Ed McKinnon says we got great depth at running back. Need to seek an extra draft pick for one of those reserves. Edward Lede says, thank you for the comment, man. What do y'all think about claiming Kenny Stills off of waivers? Kenny Stills from the Texans, receiver. What do you think about that?
I don't really see an advantage.
Yeah, can he provide some depth? Yeah, he can, but do we need him?
Well, I say this, I just again I go back to what I said a few weeks ago. When you bring in a free agent, they should make your team better.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know how much better our receiving core is going to be with Kenny Stills. I mean, one thing we know about him, he can run and he can catch the deep ball. But, one thing about this team and the Mike Vrabel coach team and the Mike Vrabel coached offense with Arthur Smith, receivers got to block. You got to block.
Yeah, got to block.
And if you don't block, you ain't going to see the field. Again, we've seen over the past couple of games, Cameron Basson getting on the field before Khalif Raymond.
Right.
Why, really?
Because he's blocking. He is blocking. You're exactly right.
And that will keep you in the good graces of the offensive coordinator and the head coach to get out on the field. I just don't see the benefit of Kenny Stills other than depth.
Yeah.
He really doesn't give you much of a weapon outside your 2 main ones you got already.
Right. I kind of like what the Titans have a receiver. It fits this team. It just fits this team and this makeup. You got 2 big physical guys on the outside. You got the Batstons and you got the Humphreys guys that can run inside. And you got tight ends, Ferguson and John New that can run routes like receivers and get open and catch the ball. And so, If somebody got hurt, maybe, but I don't see them bringing him in. I don't think there's a need for him on the team. See, Darius Williams says, do we know that the Titans are on track to have the least amount of turnovers ever in the season? I didn't know that. That's a great stat to point out. Thank you for that. Dion says Quiznos won the starting job at left tackle even when Sam Braylo comes back. I don't disagree with you there.
Well, Sombrero, I think he's on IR, so he
Yeah, so
won't be back.
he won't be back. Again, I agree with you, boy. He says Nate Davis is quietly having a Pro Bowl type season, definitely much improved blocking. Nate Davis is having a great season. I mean, let's just put that out there. He, just like he said, pressure is the key. The Titans will have, who knows if Myles Garrett is going to play or not, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on Kelly and Quisenberry. That's what they call him, Quiznos too. But it's going to be a tough football game. They love to run the ball. They're number 3 in the league in rushing. The Titans are number 5. So it's going to come down to, like it's been the last few weeks, the front line, the war of attrition in the line, in the trenches. Who can dominate and enforce their will and control the pace of the game?
Absolutely.
And if we can make the Browns one-dimensional and keep Baker Mayfield slinging the ball around the field and make him uncomfortable, you can come away to win. It's going to be a tough game, though. It's not going to be easy. It's different Browns team, like you said. And they're motivated, right? Because they came out last year supposed to be this great hype team and got punched in the mouth at home. Got put, 43 up on them? So
yeah, 43, 42, something like that.
Yeah, so they're motivated to come in here and do the same thing against the Titans, right? And spoil their plans to win the AFC South.
Yeah, we got to go out here and win the game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a hard-fought game because you got two teams that are similar in the fact that they like to run the ball. We just got to be ready to stop the run. I thought we did a great job today. Defensive line did a great job stopping the run, holding them down. And again, I see next Sunday is going to be the same thing. Rashad Evans is going to have another good game. So with Will Compton, inside linebackers, they're going to have some good games. And we're just going to see this team come together and play another solid game. I mean, the games get no easier.
Oh, no.
I mean, even getting ready to go, I think we got Detroit after the Browns. Even though they fired their head coach and everything, you got to realize that's going to light them up. You got Jacksonville playing with a lame duck coach. I don't think he's going to be back next season. They fired the GM today.
Yeah, but they barely lost to Cleveland today, so.
Yeah, so we don't know what's going to happen there. And again, Houston is playing better.
Yep.
So, and you still have Green Bay. So it's going to be tough sledding. These games are not easy.
No.
These games are not easy, and most of them are on the road.
Yep.
We got 3 out of the 5 on the road.
Yep.
So it's going to be tough sledding. So we got to be ready to play. This Cleveland game is important. We need to win it, and just start a roll to where we're playing some solid football, and that's going to be important. Because if we beat Cleveland, that puts us pretty well in a good driver's seat to win the division.
Right, because at this point you have to win the division and you got to win the tiebreaker scenarios, right? And so you got to win those out of conference games outside of the AFC South, if you will, against the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills and so on and so forth, the Denver Broncos. And so you win those games will put you in a position to make the playoffs, even if it's not the division champ, which that's your ultimate goal. But if you have to pick up a wild card, you have to have the tiebreakers that go in your favor. And
yeah, and again, that if you think about it, when they showed the playoff picture as of today, that's one of the reasons why we're the 3rd ranked team in the playoffs, and Buffalo is the 4th ranked team because we beat Buffalo.
That's exactly right.
Those conference games mean a lot. So we need to win them. We need to we need to win all of them. Don't get me wrong,
right?
But we need to go out and win these football games, man, because it's getting to that time. It's getting crunch time, and we got to be ready to play. Because there's only team that's going to get a bye is Pittsburgh.
That's right. Exactly right.
Everybody else is going to have to play.
Guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, my man G. Witt.
Tighten up, baby.
The Titans walk away with a big victory in Indianapolis, 45-26 to go to 8-3. Number 1 in AFC South, currently sitting at the number 3 seed. A lot of football left to go, man. 5 games. Got the Browns coming into Nissan Stadium with the 14th ranked defense, potentially having Myles Garrett back. And you got a lot of those guys up front, Vernon up front, and Ogun Joe Bobby, however you pronounce his name. Solid defense across, especially in the back end as well, and a tough run game with a two-headed monster with Chubb and Hunt. It's gonna be a tough game. There's no Odell Beckham, but they still got Jarvis Landry. He had 8 for 143 today and a touchdown. And you got Cooper at tight end, so he got some weapons. I'm a Hooper at tight end. I'm sorry. Got some weapons around him, and so we'll see, man. Got to play some solid
remember,
defense.
We're going against our old friend Jack Conklin too.
Old Jack is there. It's some motivation for him, right?
Right.
The team that drafted you didn't attempt to sign you back, and so it's some fuel in the fire there, right? And like
Absolutely.
I said, Cleveland comes in. They remember getting embarrassed at home the first week when everybody thought they were the paper champs. I will say that. Yeah. And got it handed to them. And so what would they like more than to come in Nissan Stadium next Sunday and and put it to the Titans at home and ruin, I'm not gonna say ruin, but just make it hard for them to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to remember, the difference between the pros and college football is the fact that your overall record plays a lot into this. So because the Colts, I don't know who they got next week, but they're gonna bounce back. So we gonna have to be able to keep pace and keep running with it. Even though we hold the tiebreaker over them because of division wins and division losses, I should say.
Right.
So I mean, we just got to you got to go out and win all the games. That's just bottom line.
Exactly. So the Colts got the Texans next week. It's gonna be a tough game. That's not an easy game. Like you mentioned, the Texans are playing.
Texans are playing good football right now.
That's exactly right. And like you said, we've got to come out and be ready to play. There's no weeks off in the NFL, and it's November, and there's meaningful games down the stretch, and you just got to play ball, man. You got to be ready to play
absolutely.
Ball. And so, guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witz.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, man. Hey, come back with us next Sunday, 7 p.m. We'll be talking about the Browns versus the Titans. We'll see what happens. Will the defense come to play? Will we see a more aggressive defense? Will we see the Beast go off for another 150, 175, 200? Got to stop the run game for Cleveland. It's going to be tough, man.
Okay.
It's playoff type football already for the playoffs. So
absolutely.
Join us next week, 7 p.m. right here live on Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt. We are out of here. Have a good night. Peace.